All right, so we got some questions to start out. Thank you for those. What are the various use cases for file roles and how do you set them up? Sure. So let's go ahead and bounce over to um, this hammer icon under here. You're going to have templates, you're going to have fields, you're going to have what we call filters, which are the file roles, contact roles, businesses, things like that. So let's go ahead and pop over here to this hammer icon. We'll come down to filters. And then under the filters, we'll start with the file roles. I believe that's what you asked. Let me see. Yep. Okay. So file roles are going to be a way to tell the system what this file is. So when you get a PDF from an agent, it may say 123 Main Street XYZ, you know, a bunch of numbers, whatever that PDF put on there. There's no way for the system to know what that is. It doesn't like read the title and it's not doing full AI work yet. So what you have to do is you have to assign that document a file role. So all your file roles will be here. Depending on what plan you're on, it depends on how, I guess, detailed you want to be with these. If you want to set yourself up for success in the future, I would get very detailed on these as far as I use a suffix here with BS. This is buyer signed. FE is fully executed. Whoops, what did I just do here? Buyer signed. There you go. Buyer signed, fully executed. SS I use for seller signed. AS I use for agent signed. LS I use for lender signed. Whatever. So basically what I did was I went to, I think zip form at the time was what I was using. And I went and grabbed every Arizona document that I could find. And I found out who was going to sign or initial that. And then I would create an iteration of that document for that person. So addendum number 1, the buyer signs it, the seller signs it, and then it's fully executed. So I created a BS and SS because you never know what iteration you're going to be storing. Now, if you only store the fully executed documents in open to close, then that's one thing. But if you are storing documents, the iterations of the signings, then you may want to create these BS SS. So the other cool thing you can do with this is not only can you automatically attach documents to emails, which I'll show you here in a second, but you can also use these file roles as conditions. So for something like a smart block, you could say, put in this extra paragraph in my email, but only if addendum number 1 fully executed exists in my property. So what it would do is it would go over to your documents tab. It would look for this file role. If you've set this file role, addendum number 1 fully executed, then it's going to go ahead and take that paragraph and pop it into your email because that's a condition of that block of data. So you may have, and let me think of a better example here, but like you may have the escrow or the earnest money receipt. Maybe you have an earnest money receipt. Obviously, they've deposited the money if you have the receipt. If you have that document, then you may pop in a paragraph to your buyer saying, hey, thanks for sending that, getting the money over to the escrow or title company, blah, blah, blah. So now you can customize emails with these as well. And you can use contact roles and file roles and fields as your condition. So this becomes really valuable as you grow with the system and go from our base plan up to our fully automated plan. If that's where you want to go, you can keep eliminating time by setting these file roles on different things. So which plan is it included in? So file roles are in every plan, but it depends on the automation. So let me go through it here a little bit and I can answer that question if I go through the program a little bit. So yeah, you can create whatever you want here as far as your file roles. And how that's going to work is I'm going to come over here to a transaction. And let's go to this one. So what happens is you have a new document come in. It's going to come in under a box that appears here for unapproved documents because they're not approved yet. And then you can set the file role on it and send it down to wherever you want in these placeholders. And these are from your templates, which we went over last week. So I can come in here and say, here are my brokerage docs. Here's my buyer broker agreement. It's fully executed. All you do is pull down this field, search for buyer broker agreement, select it, and that's going to set the file role. Once the file roll is on, it'll show this little flame. That's saying the file role is set. This paperclip is saying that there's an actual file in here. So if I click on this, I can open it up and I can review that PDF or JPEG or whatever it is. So now let me bounce over to, let's go to smart blocks first. So let's pop over to smart blocks. That was Control S was my shortcut to smart blocks. You can also just navigate through the left panel as well. Okay, so in the smart blocks, I'm just going to grab one of these. This one has one condition on it. You can see that that has a 1 there. See if I have with more than one. Here's one with 2. So anyway, go ahead and jump back in here. So go ahead and let this load here for a second. Okay, so this paragraph, okay, or bullet points is actually what it is going to come into my initial email, but only if the escrow number is blank. Okay, so if the escrow number is blank, that means I don't have the earnest deposit over to the title or escrow company. So I want to let them know how to get it there. If they've already arranged it, and you could create another field called like, has earnest money been arranged? Because sometimes they'll call you in the morning and say, hey, I'm going to send it over at 5 o'clock. You don't want to send them this information if they already know how to get it there. But in this case, it's just for our demo example, it's just if I've typed in the escrow number, it means that I have the earnest deposit already over at the escrow title company. And so I don't want to resend them this information on, please deposit your earnest money. It's going to make you look like you don't know what's happening with the transaction. Or it's just going to make you look kind of dumb if they just called you, an hour earlier and said, I'm going to take it over at 5 o'clock. So this is really cool though, because these, this whole smart block, obviously you see it's pretty involved, and there's other smart blocks within the smart block and all kinds of cool things you can do. But this piece of data isn't going to go in unless, and now you could have a document here is what I was trying to get at. This one is a field, but you could have if, here, let me show you an example. When you're setting these up, you could say if the file role, addendum number 1, whatever, this doesn't make sense, but let me just put it in there so I can show you. So you select the file role. So if this file role exists or is missing. So if it's missing, insert this smart block. If it exists, insert this smart block. So you have some options there as far as what you can do with the conditions. So as I said, you can do fields, you can do contacts, fields, file roles, contact roles. Okay. The other place that you can use file roles is over in your email templates. And let's go into an email template here. And now down at the bottom of this email template, I'm telling it, hey, I want to insert purchase contract fully executed if it exists in my property. So when I go to send this email out, if any of these exist in the property, it's actually going to take them from the documents tab and automatically attach them to the email. So you can see how powerful this becomes, not only with attaching to emails, but also with the automation pieces, bringing in smart blocks. And then if you're on our fully upgraded plan, I won't cover this too much because I don't think a lot of you in here are on that, but you'll have this trigger menu. And in this trigger menu, you can say, if, I don't think I have one for a document in here. Let me look. I will just pretend that this is a document. If this document exists in the property, then send this email. And when do I want to send it? I want to send it immediately when this document gets put into my transaction. Or if this was a document, it would be 45 days after contract acceptance at 4 p.m. if this document exists. Send that email. Let me see if I have anything besides emails in here. Nope. So you can see at the different stages where the power of this becomes. So to answer your question, on our base plan, you have the option to automatically attach documents by file role to the emails. And you also have the option to put conditions in the smart blocks on our base plan. Once you get up to our scale plan, which is kind of the automated plan, that's when you'll get access to these triggers where you don't need to use tasks anymore. You can just say, hey, if this document exists, send this email. And so it becomes very automated at that point. Let me look through here and make sure that there's, I answer all the file role stuff first before we move on. Can you show how to set up a smart block on a condition? Yeah, with the file roles, let's go ahead and cover that one next. Hannah, if you or Matthew or whoever could take care of that one, I'll go in here and create a new one. So again, you can either go for smart blocks, you can come over here and you can come down to the hammer icon, smart blocks, or you can just hit Control S. It's going to pop open that. And if I want to add a new smart block, I add it here. And let's say I name this one. What do I want to name this one? let's name it, I'm trying to think of a good scenario that I use in my regular business. Let's say that this is going to be the as is repairs. So they're not asking for repairs. They're going to say that they want this as is. And I need to insert this paragraph into the email if that's the case. So what you want to do is you want to triple click on that, which will highlight the whole thing, Control C or Command C, depending on if you're on a Mac or a PC, and then Control V to put it back in there. It's going to take out all the capital letters. It's going to take out all the dashes, and it's going to put underscores in for the spaces. And that's the way we need it for the smart block, or for, I'm sorry, for the, oh shoot, you know what? My keyboard is going dead. So I'm going to plug this in as we talk here. I apologize. So I'm going to go ahead and add this smart block really quick. And now it's going to open up the screen. It's going to have the information that we put in there for the title and the merge field. And sorry, I'm just plugging in my keyboard here so I don't go dead on you halfway through here. And then down here, you can write whatever you want. So in this case, I can write a paragraph that might get inserted like, the buyer is not asking for repairs. We will order the appraisal, and excuse my mistakes there, but in the next, let's just say 48 hours. So now I can come down here and say, if, and I'm not going to use a file rule for this one, but you could use like, if this document exists, or if this document doesn't exist, or if this contact rule exists, or if this contact rule doesn't exist, but where the real power comes in is property fields. And now I can say, if I chose the field, I don't even know if I have one in here, but let me see if I have anything for repairs. Yeah, repairs. And if there was a choice field in here, I could say is equal to, and then if you change this field to they chose as is, then I could choose that. I don't have that in this one. It's in my own account, so I apologize. But let's just say that there was a pull down menu of options. Well, I could pull that down here. It would appear here, and I could say, you know, as is. And then I would say add, and just ignore this. So it would say if repairs due is equal to as is. And then if I select as is in that field, now it's going to put in these two sentences into my email, letting them know that, hey, the buyer's not asking for repairs, and we'll go ahead and order the appraisal in the next 48 hours. So I'm not going to create this one because I made a bunch of mistakes and it didn't really make sense, but you get the picture of how that works. Yeah, so is there a way to filter the task list by more than one color in a view and save it? Let's see. I don't remember off the top of my head. So let me check here. Okay. Nope. I think you just have the option for one color on the colors. So if you're using the task pipeline, now I could create all my filters and save that. You would have to create another one for red, one for green, one for black, and then you just have to toggle between them. I could see about that for the future. Put it in the Idea Lab for sure. The Idea Lab's over here under the profile, under Idea Lab, and then you can create whatever you want in here as far as ideas, and people can vote them up. So definitely put that in there. We'll take a look at it each quarter.
I've had a couple of people use the tags as well, so that way they could have those multiple different colors, because tags can also be color coded. So if you wanted to start to look at your tags for all of your tasks, and maybe you want to tag something as critical, and every single time this specific task on these specific task templates are critical, you could do that, and then plus using the color coding of the tasks and kind of have that duplicate color. But that's the only other way I've seen around it.
Yep, that's a good point. So tags, you can do multiples like I showed you here.
Mm-hmm.
You can also pin anything pinned to the top of your transaction. You can use that as a filter. Anything you mark critical, you can use that as a filter. And anything with the colors, you can use that. So like Hannah said, if it's really crucial to your business to use two different colors, just go ahead and create a tag. And you don't have to create a tag called anything. You can come here and create a tag called red. You can create a tag called yellow if you want. And you can actually use those instead of the color balls as kind of a workaround to not having that option.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So let's see here. Will you give us an idea of, did I answer that full question? Yeah, I think I did. Will you give us an idea of the new features rolled out and show us examples with each plan so we can decide which is the best fit for our needs? Yeah. I'm actually going to cover that one. Go ahead and pause that question, guys. I'm going to come to that towards the end after we get through some of these more technical questions, and then I can do kind of a full overview of the pricing plan because I know a lot of people jump on here for that. All right. Okay. Hi, when scrubbing email templates, is there a way to find a field easily in TC workflow without having to go through all the email templates? OTC email cleaner says I have a field called HOA field, but it doesn't match my fields in TC workflow and can't find it. Wow, that's a good question. When scrubbing my email templates, is there a way to field? There's not, we don't have, so one of the features that we do have, one of the new features we do have in open to close is this introspector. So I can come in here and say, I want to see everywhere where this field is. And now you can see every email template, every task template. Unfortunately, we don't have that in TC workflow and we can't add that. So what you may want to do, and I don't know who this is because you have anonymous on there, but send an email to help it open to close and shoot a little video of TC workflow and open to close and what you're trying to do. And then we can have the support staff, or even I can dig into it and we can take a little bit more thorough look, because I think this is going to take some time and we might actually have to look in the database to find certain things. So it's not something I can do right now live, but yeah, send a email to help at open to close, give us a little video on what you're trying to do, and we'll try to help you as much as we can with that.
I would say this too, if you, because that cleaner, the email cleaner, it's there to find a merge field from the previous system and say, hey, you don't have this merge field yet in open to close. So if there's a field HOA fee and you don't have it yet in open to close, and you know you need it because you use that merge field, it might just be a matter of you need to add in an HOA field so that way you can map it. So, and for whatever reason, this shows up every single time, the property email address. But
it's because, so property email address used to be what we call contract title.
Yeah.
In open to close. So if you're using property email I'm sorry, no, that's not true. I'm thinking about the wrong thing. Another one comes up, the property address, which you can use contract title for and open to close. This one is property email address. We didn't have this in TC workflow. So you can just select, I think it comes up as property email.
Yeah. So if it says that HOA fee is in TC workflow and we don't have it in open to close, then what you should think is go, okay, well then I need to go to my field editor and I need to see, do I have a field that tracks the HOA fee? Because it sounds like it was something that you were tracking in TC workflow, and you need to track it in open to close. And that's how you can trigger yourself to create it. This goes for anyone else who's coming from any other system. So if you're coming from any of the other CRMs and you're using the clean email templates, if it says, hey, you said that this is what the merge field, this is what the logic is for the merge field, we don't have this field. It's a kind of like an alert for you to go, okay, well, I need to create that field in open to close. I need to create a custom field so that I can map it to it, so that when I use it and I put in that HOA fee, it pulls onto that email appropriately.
Yeah, that's a good point. And you'll have a list of these when you come from another system. There'll be a whole list of these, and then you'll have to match them up with your current fields and open to close. Because you, in your old system, let's say you're coming from like a Real Vault or something, and you had a field called closing. Well, now you want to call it closing date and open to close. You need to match those up so it changes the merge field and makes it correct and open to close. So don't check this until all of them are 100% correct. Go through those, because you may have a list of like 50 of them. Make sure you go through and double check those before you hit this, because once you hit it, it's going to go through every single email template that you have in the system, which could be thousands I've seen in some people's systems, and it's going to update those. There's no way to redo that. So just make sure that you go and double check all these ones that you're mapping to. Make sure you didn't do it when you were tired or fat fingered something or whatever. Just make sure that they're 100% correct and you double check. So
definitely.
Okay, cool. Let me go down here and see. We recently had a transaction that was going to be terminated, but later we decided not to terminate it. We had already deleted all the tasks that did not pertain to termination. So we went into the deleted task list and brought them back into active tasks, but they no longer had the triggers on them. Is there a way to bring back a deleted task and keep the trigger attached to it? No, there isn't right now because of the way the back end of the system works.
Yeah.
But what I can say is Actually, will you send an email to support on that and just tag me, just say, hey, please send this to Andrew. I'm going to talk to the development team and see if there's any way to bring it back with, because I know we had a discussion. I know a couple of people had an issue with this and we had a discussion about it in the past. And I just don't really remember where we landed. So at least I could get you some reasoning behind it. And if there is an opening for that to be added in the future, then we can definitely put that on the list for next quarter to take a look at when we do our product roadmap. So yeah, send an email to us and we'll take a look at that again.
I think something that might be nice too is if you show them a property that has that task list. So yes, if we delete it, it goes to the deleted task list. And when you bring it back, like Andrew said, the triggers might not come back. But if you can at least see what the tasks were, you can always reapply the task template again, and then those triggers will come on. So if you ever need to see the tasks, you can go to all tasks. You can click on that drop down that Andrew just clicked on and see deleted. This will show you all the deleted ones. So you can kind of go through and figure out, okay, what were the task templates that I need to reapply? And you can reapply them if you run into that at any time.
For a second. Okay, so let me see if it, so yeah, you could come in here and you could reapply, you could reapply a template if you wanted to. You could come at, whoops, I just hit excluded, not triggers, but the triggers. If you do save your trigger sets in your, I don't know what plan you're on, but if you do save those as a trigger template, you can bring them back in. If you don't have access to that, then you can reapply the entire email to it if you want. All right, cool. Let's see here. Can you show how to use the health bar? Yes, definitely. So best practice is don't go in here to send the triggers. Don't click on this and then send the triggers from here. That's definitely not the best practice. What you want to do is check off your tasks. If you're a person that likes to work in the transaction, then you would come down and check off all your tasks that you need to check off of. Or check off, and then any of these triggers are going to go up to the health bar. As you're checking them off, it's going to say, okay, I need to send this email. Oh, I need to send this text. I need to add this template. I need to whatever. If you are a person that likes the health or the task pipeline, I will show you that in a second. Actually, let's do that first. We'll come over here. And if you're in the task pipeline, you can also do it by single property and see all the things that are due on this property, or you can get rid of this. You can work on all your properties at one time. Okay, so let's just say that we had move these over so it looks more like what you would see. Okay, and then you can come down here. This is your triggers for all of your transactions. Okay, so we have 1,001 because I don't clear them out. And if I wanted to work on one transaction, like I showed you a minute ago, you just click on it. And now you have the health bar here that you can click on. So whether you're in the property or whether you're over here in the task pipeline, you can click on the health bar. It's going to pop up and it's going to show you all the things. So as you check off those tasks, all those triggers, those emails that need to be sent out, the text, the templates that need added, all that stuff is going to appear in this right here. Okay. So now you can come in here and say, okay, I need to send this email. I'm going to go ahead and inspect it. Take a look at it. Yep, looks good, and hit send. Now, if I have an email that doesn't look good, it's going to have this on it. So I can see I forgot to put the contract date in this transaction. I forgot to put the listing agent full name. Now I can come down here and say, okay, so contract date needs to be in there. I can come down to edit fields and I can say contract date. Contract date. I don't even have it in this transaction, but let's just pretend that it was contract client, or let's pretend it was actually this one. So you would come down here, you would select whatever you wanted, and then you could check it. And now you could come back over to this email and refresh it and then send it. So it would all be good. Now, if you wanted to type something in custom, you can hit this edit button here. So once you hit this edit button, it's going to display and make sure you read this. It's going to render it. I'm going to go ahead and render this email. It's going to pop it open. And then if I needed to send something extra, like happy birthday, something just off the wall that doesn't happen on every transaction, I can edit that before I send it out. I can add extra attachments. I can do whatever I need to do, add some extra people, whatever.
I think one of the cool buttons on that screen too is that you can also add on different people. So if you look in the to sign, obviously you can add on the contact roles, but if you click on that add, here you can see all the people on the transaction. You can say, am I sending it directly to them? Am I BCCing them? Am I CCing them? And this is cool because it also shows you their contact roles. So you don't necessarily need to worry too much about, am I going to recognize their name, as much as the contact role has been, filed correctly for this person, so I know what it is. I also have a really great article for you, Diane, as well, about like, it shows like a video and like how to use it, and it goes in more detail
Now,
too
one
about the health bar.
one thing I will say is if you're adding people to these emails, think about why you're adding them, because they should be
Mhm.
if this email is going out and it's a standard email that's going out over and over, these people should already be set in your template, and you shouldn't have to be adding people to every transaction. This is for like one-off type of stuff that you shouldn't have to do all the time. So just keep that in mind. If you're adding anything to the email, or you're adding people, or you're adding documents, you should be updating your template. You shouldn't be doing that every single time, because that's just a huge time waster.
Yep.
Okay,
That's
cool.
also where you might be able to identify where you need smart blocks too. So if it's something that you're adding in only 50% of the time when it meets this particular thing, that's when you know, okay, I can create a smart block and say, when this meets these conditions, then bring on this block of information.
Yeah, a good example of that might be like you have a sentence that says, okay, at this point, we're going to order the appraisal. Well,
Mhm.
you don't want that in there if it's a cash deal with no appraisal contingency. So your condition
Exactly.
might be if it's financed, or if it has an appraisal contingency equals yes, then bring in this sentence. And so now you never have to type that again. If it's a cash deal, that sentence won't come in. If it's not a cash deal, then it will come in. So you can set that up so you don't have to manually do that every single time. Now, one thing I will mention, down here, you also have the tasks that are in here that are due for this property. So you can see those, what are due in 1 day, due in 2 days. You also have all the documents. You can mark these as a high priority. Like if I need to review this document before the end of the day, and I don't want to leave for the end of the day and forget to take a look at this because I had to do something on it, you can also put a note on it and a high mark. So you can come back here and look at the note. Contacts, same way. Fields, same way. Okay, so if you're on our middle tier plan, you have access to the fields, contacts, and the documents as far as the high, medium, low as well. So these are really helpful because, as I've told you many times, my saying on my team is no red before bed. So it's no red because that's due today or past due. We want to clear these out before the end of the day. We only want to see this kind of gold and blue color. If we still have red, there's an issue. So before you're leaving for the day, you want to scan your reds and say, wait a second, why did I need to, obviously this doesn't make sense. Like need to see like what state it's in, but we come down here to something. Maybe you have an issue that was happening with the tax ID and you wanted to make sure that this was correct before the end of the day. Well, you can check it. If it's good, then you can just check that off, or maybe you mark it to a low priority because you still have something to do on it, whatever. You can do that in here. And then once you close it and you come back to it the next day, obviously it adjusts your bar as far as the colors go, but also down here, you don't see that address and the tax ID anymore. The tax ID is down here in the blue. Okay. Okay, let's see what else we got here. Is there a way to smart block a way to send all missing items from your file as an email? Yes, there is. For example, I have a template that says I conducted an audit of this transaction. Here are the missing items. Then have it be able to pull in the documents, the file. Yep. Okay. I get it. Yep. You can definitely do that. You have to be on our upgraded plan, the scale plan, to do that in an efficient way. I'll tell you some workarounds here. You can create emails with the smart blocks that are, let me organize this in my brain here. So on the base plan, you could create smart blocks and the condition could be, here, let me go over to it. Email. I think Josie might have a good video on this too on her site, but I can try to get that for you or have her post it in Facebook. But in the email templates, if you come in here, you could create a smart block in here, right? And you could say, so I would have a smart block that I already created and I would paste it in here and it would be, does the, this file exist? So it could be like, I have the fully executed, or purchase contract. Okay. So you have a sentence in here. Obviously you wouldn't abbreviate it like I just did, but you have all these lines, and what all these lines would represent is I still need the whatever, right? Whatever doc. Okay. So I still need the whatever doc. In here, this would be actually a smart block that you would create. And this smart block would be, do I have the fully executed purchase contract? That would be the condition. So the condition would be, if fully executed purchase contract exists, then I want to put in this wording. If the fully executed purchase contract doesn't exist, then maybe this is the executed purchase contract. And now these wouldn't come in at the same time because they have opposite conditions, right? This wording comes in if you have it, this wording comes in if you don't have it. So one of these wouldn't be here. And so you can go down and you can create a bunch of smart blocks in your email with this. Now, a better way to do it, and this is something you'll have to take your time with in learning, but there is a thing called a smart block group. You can create that over in smart blocks. Show you. Excuse me. So when you're adding a smart block, you could add, and you want them to be individual because the conditions are going to be confusing, right? You have to have a condition for each document. So you're going to create a smart block for each document. So you're going to have many smart blocks. But in here, you can create a smart block group. And in this smart block group, what you can do, here, let me actually use one that's existing so I don't have to go through this whole process. You have a bunch of smart blocks in here, right? So each of these smart blocks have their own condition. Whether the buyer, whether we represent the buyer, that's the condition for this one. Whether we represent, or there's a lender on the file, whether there's an escrow agent on the file, whether there's a lender, whether there's a, I just created a bunch of these that are the same just to show you how long it could get. But anyway, you can come in here and you can create one for each document. So there could be 100 documents in here if you wanted it to be. And then each of these would have their own wording and their own condition. Then you could roll these up into a big block. And the only reason these smart blocks are so helpful is because when you go back to your emails, you don't have, if you have a bunch of emails where you need to put the same conditions, you don't want to have 50 lines of smart blocks in here. You just want to have one line that is the smart block group containing all the others. It just makes it a lot easier to create. So if you want to create a smart block group, go back and watch a video. It's called strategy video. It's on fields, emails, merge fields, and smart blocks. It's about a 20-minute video and it takes you through fields and their importance when creating merge fields, smart blocks, and then smart blocks importance when creating smart groups. And I touch on all that in that video. It's really helpful to kind of go through the flow and understand how all those work together.
I think to start too, what I would probably suggest is I would create 3 categories, a BS, an SS, and an FE. And then I would create the smart block verbiage for if you have the buyer sign for all of these documents, if you have the seller sign for all of these documents, if you have the fully executed for all of these documents, and then create 3 groups, one for buyer sign, one for seller sign, one for fully executed. And then that way you have it kind of organized a bit better. So you can say, you know, when you bring in those groups, you've got 3 groups that say, here are the list of documents that we have received or we are still waiting for. And then it says, these are all the fully executed ones that we have based off of what file role you've associated with it. Here are all the ones that are BS. So we still need, you know, the seller signature on it. And here are the ones that are SS. So we still need the buyer signature on it. Yeah. And that's probably how I would organize it too.
Another way to do it would be to organize your smart blocks in conjunction with how you set up your document templates.
Mm-hmm.
So you
Absolutely.
may have like your HOA documents and all those under your HOA document template in one smart group. Yep. And then you may have all of your brokerage documents and all of your listing documents and all of your whatever. That may, you can test out all the different ways, but that may be a good way to do it so that it's kind of in conjunction, like I said, with your template. So it all makes sense in your head.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially with the timeline, because you might not reach out for all of those buyer signed documents day 2, but a couple days into the transaction, that's when you might need all of your HOA documents. So you send out that HOA email that says, this is what we have, this is what we're missing. And if you separate it, like Andrew said, to have your smart blocks and your document templates organized like that, then you don't have to worry about excessive documents or putting excessive pressure on anyone to be like, hey, we need this document, even though it's due 21 days from now, we need it now type of thing.
All right, so what do we got here? So for example, I have a template audited. Yeah, so we covered that one. Is there a tag the same as wanting a subcategory of a task list? We would need to organize our tasks by categories such as no task, lender task. Let me go over the tasks real quick. To Okay, so under tasks, let's see here. If I don't know if it's in here. Let me see. Do we have subtasks in here yet?
Well, subtasks would be on the new pricing plan. We do have something called subtasks.
I'm in stage though. I should have it on here. For some.
Oh, you might have to just expand the task then to see it.
There we go.
But
Oh, here's a subtask. Yeah. So let's start out there. So subtasks will be here. If you want subtasks, this has been released on version 2 pricing, which I'm going to go over here in a little bit. Version 2 pricing, version 1 pricing. If you guys are on the old plans, you will not see subtasks. That will be on every single plan on the new pricing plan. So hold on one second. Okay, so if I click on here, it's going to open this up and I can put subtask 1, subtask 2. And so in here, we don't have, so Leslie, to answer your question, is there a tag the same as wanting a subcategory of task list? Oh, actually, she didn't go subtask. I'm sorry. I thought you said subtask, but you're talking about subcategories. Well, that's how you do subtasks. So let me jump off there. Yeah, subcategories. I would really do for subcategories, I would do separate templates for your tasks. So any tasks that have to do with any tasks that come in 100% of the time should be in one task list, 100% of the time. Okay. Because you don't want to see tasks that you don't need. Then you're going to create a separate template for HOA tasks. You're going to create a separate template for septic tasks, a separate template for solar tasks. And now you're going to trigger those from the intake form on whether they come in or not. So if there's solar on the property, it will automatically trigger those tasks to come in. If there's septic on the property, it will automatically trigger those tasks to come in. Now, if you have it set up by date, they're all going to be in order. They're all going to be mixed with each other. So you're not going to be able to tell. It's just going to look like one big task list. You can see how many templates have come in here by clicking on all tasks. You can also create the tasks and you can put tags on each task. So this is like an earnest money task. This one is a opening task. So you can do it that way too, so that you can sort later by tags and say, just show me all of my earnest money tasks. And then I can basically have a subcategory of just those in here. You can also sort them by, let me take that one off. Or actually, let me come over to here and take this off. And then you can also sort them by the original template they were in. So I can say, just show me the ones that are in my buyer basic checklist. And then it's gonna show you up here that you have a filter on and you're just seeing the tasks in that one. Okay. So you can sort it by person, you sort it by tag, you sort it by color, you sort it by whether they have triggers or not, whether it's critical, or by the actual template. So anyway, yeah, that's how you do subcategories. And I apologize, I kind of went off on a tangent there. I misread your question to begin with. Yeah, so to get to your second part of the question, it says we need to organize our tasks by categories such as title task, lender task. That would be, here, let me just open this up again. And so you could just create a tag for it, for title task, lender task, or you could have those also in a template. But if you have multiple mixed tasks in that template, then you'd want to further pare down by the tags here. Okay. All right. Can a task list be added automatically when we change the status of a property? Yes, on our scale plan. So on our scale plan, you have access to these and you have access to what we call listeners. Or actually, I'm sorry, we're talking about tasks. So we're going to do ready to go. Okay. In here, we could say, can task lists be added automatically by, yeah. So in here, your condition would be a field. So let's just pretend that this is the status, like you said. If contract status equals pending, then add this template. So this wouldn't be an email, this would be a template. And so anytime you change this field over here to pending from active, it's going to say, yep, it satisfied this. Let me go look at the timing. You would have it set for immediately. So as soon as I set that, it would pop that up here and say, hey, you need to add this template. So it would go to your health bar. The reason we don't do these automatically, that's the way we originally had them. The problem is if you accidentally delete, so you can do it in reverse too. You can say, if this field goes to active, delete this template. Well, that's an issue if you delete out a template accidentally and then you go to add it again and all your tasks that you've already taken care of re-come into the transaction. So let's say you had 180 tasks and you checked off 120 of them for the transaction. And then you accidentally deleted it and you have to bring it back in. It's going to bring in all 180 again, and you're not going to know the 120 that you deleted. Well, you will know, but it's going to be very difficult to recreate that whole thing. It's going to take you a lot of time. So what we did was we made those templates go up to the health bar so that you kind of have to look at it and make sure it makes sense before you hit OK. So just keep that in mind as you're adding those task templates.
A more manual way to do it too is if you wanted to create a task trigger. So if you're not on the scale plan yet, you can create a task trigger that when you check off that task, it then prompts you to do it. So it wouldn't necessarily be an update in a field as much as it's you check off a task, that trigger to add on the post occupancy task list will go up to that queue bar. Then once you're ready for it, you can fire that off and then get those tasks.
Yeah, your
So
task could say something like add template, whatever. And then you could, or check this if status changes. It's not, it's a little bit more cumbersome than
it's a manual way of doing things.
Yeah, it's a little bit more cumbersome than doing it through the trigger menu, because the trigger menu is going to be automated and it's just going to let you know automatically versus you having to say, okay, change this.
Now I updated it. Now I check the task. Yeah.
Now let me go through this list and look for pending. HOA field questions. The other one is workflow title. Is that contract title? Yes, it is. Also, property full address. Is the property full address with state zip? No. So it's Control A to get to those. Control A is going to pull up in your merge fields. So if I go to address, this address right here is just the number and the street name, 123 Main Street. That's what comes in under address. Okay. City, state, zip fills the rest of that. Now, if you want the whole thing in one big merge field, that would be contract title. And contract title is going to be 123 Main Street, Beverly Hills, California, 90210. Okay. So that's the difference in those. Hopefully that answers your question. If you have any follow-ups on that, either put them in here, or if it's after the fact, go ahead and email support. We can definitely help you with that for sure. Okay, pricing. Let's talk about the new pricing plan. So when you come to open to close, oops, I don't know how to spell. Let's see here. openToclose.com/v2/pricing. This is on our homepage. You can just go there and click on pricing. Here's our new pricing. So the old pricing was $69 per user. The new grow plan is $99 for the first user. This includes the first user, and then $69 for each additional user. So it's an extra $30 for the first user. The second one used to be $168. It's an extra $31. This one's an extra $31 as well. The reason why they went up is because we've added more to the program that costs us quite a bit of money to maintain. That being said, in the grow plan, you have access to the introspector, subtasks, tons of little things here and there throughout that plan. The pro plan, the big one, is DocuSign and webhooks. The new DocuSign integrations in here, webhooks to be able to take your data and throw it out to other programs. A lot of the same stuff in here. Oh, commissions. We also have commission templates. We have commissions and reporting in the grow plan as well. These are pretty limited. You have one page with 4 reporting things. On the commissions, you can't do templates. You can only do manual in the transaction. Once you get to the pro plan, now you have commission templates, reporting templates, You have webhooks, you have DocuSign, you have a ton of stuff in there. So for an extra $31, you just get, you're going to cut so many hours off your time by having some of this automation in here. And then our scale plan is $399 for the first user. It used to be $260, or I'm sorry, it used to be $368. So it's an extra $31. With this, you're going to get messaging, you're going to get automation, you're going to get condition locking so that no one can check off a task until certain things are done. A lot of unlimited stuff, and then all those triggering features that I showed you. By changing a field, you can have an email go out, or changing a field, you can have a template added, things like that. That's all on the scale plan as well. This really, the benefit of this is basically at scale, you're eliminating people that you need to hire. So let's say you have a team of 2 and you're doing 500 transactions a year. You're not going to have to add anyone until you get to about 2,000 plus transactions, because this is going to give you the ability to do. I mean, I just saw a user doing 140 pendings by herself. I saw another user doing 160 pendings by herself. They were not in California, by the way. California, you're going to be a little bit lower. But yeah, this gives you some ultimate scalability to not have to remember. And in the program, you can set all this up. If I change this field, then I need it to do X, Y, and Z. If I change this field, I need it to add this paragraph to this email and do X, Y, and Z. So like, there's a lot of automation that you can do with the scale plan by changing fields. And now it's taking a lot off your plate as far as remembering and manually doing things. So whoever had that question up, I don't remember. But if you have any detailed questions on the pricing, please go ahead and put them in now. And we are out of questions. We have about 13 minutes left. Let's see. If you're currently on the old version, $69, can you stay on that one now? Yes, you can definitely stay on that. No need to upgrade. You just will not have access to the introspector, commissions, reporting, subtasks, and the other many little things here and there that we have in the new pricing plan. So, sorry, I just had to navigate over and get rid of a program that's making a lot of noise on my computer. So yeah, let me see. Just like, no, yeah, you just stay on the version 1 if that's what you're comfortable with, and you don't want to up the $30. If the commissions and reportings and introspector and all those little things here and there are not going to make a difference in your business right now, just stay where you're at. And we have no plan on making people switch at any certain time. Obviously, we do reserve that right in the future just to make it easier so that we can all be on one set of plans. But for right now, we don't want to force people to come over if you're happy where you're at. Hopefully in the near future, we're going to add a ton of functionality and a lot more automation and cool features here and there throughout all 3 plans. And so eventually you're probably going to want to switch once you see some of the stuff that's coming out, but that's totally up to you. Can you show some of the things from the base plan? Can you show some of the things from the base plan to the grow plan? Yeah, definitely. So let me go back over here. The big one for me, honestly, I love the introspector. So if you come down to the field editor, and I showed you this a little while ago, but like being able to come in here before I delete a field, and like, let's just say I'm going to delete this field. Well, now I can inspect it and be like, oh shoot, I do not want to delete this field. This field is through a million of my task templates and date templates and everything. So I need to go and either edit this field and change it so that it updates throughout, but I definitely don't want to delete it. So that's a really cool feature. The other big one is going to be reporting. You're going to be able to come in here and report on any of your agents or your TCs. And I apologize, we're on Zoom, so this is going to take a little, there we go. You're going to be able to say, hey, I want to report from this time to this time. So like this month, next 7 days, whatever it is, whatever is important to you. You can report on those. You can create lines or bar charts. You can create a year reference where it's grabbing the date from to, what date is it reporting on? And then you could say like how many closings you have or how many actives you have. You also have the ability to do volumes. So like I have 338 closings, and then maybe this is like closing 2, but it's $116 million. Hopefully that's what you have going on. But yeah, so you can report on that. Now on the base plan, you're going to have one of these. So one page with 4 widgets. That's what you get. On the mid-tier plan, you're going to get 4 pages or 3 pages with 4 widgets. And then on the scale plan, you get unlimited reporting as much as you want. We also just added in the ability, and I think this is probably going to be on the, I don't know what plan it's going to be on, so I'm not even going to say, but in development right now is the ability to, in our commission plans, which I'll show you here. Go to this one. So in our commissions, it'll grab whatever the purchase amount from your transaction over here, and whatever template stuff you have in here, it'll just calculate all the way down for you, whether you have splits or whatever's going on. I don't think I have access to what we just added, but nope. But you will be able to individually say, hey, this broker split goes to John. This team split goes to Betty. This team split goes to Alicia, whatever. And now you can report on individual agents as well over in the reporting. So that's kind of a cool feature. The subtasks I showed you over in the tasks you're going to get. So that's kind of cool. Now, if you go up to the, well, I already went over that, but if you go up to the pro plan, then you're going to get the DocuSign, the webhooks, I mean, there's actually a ton of stuff in that plan that you're going to get. And then on the scale plan, you get the full automation. So those are the big ones, Tiffany. There's probably some other little ones that I'm missing right now, but commissions, reporting, introspector, and subtasks are probably the 4 that I've seen most requested that are going to be on that grow plan. Cool. Yeah, we love them too. That's you know, the subtask was actually the most requested feature that we've had. So we'll grow on that. You know, right now it's kind of a base version that we're putting in there, and eventually we'll probably add more features to how subtasks work. This is the way we could do it quickly and get them in there. As we start adding more stuff, obviously there's more development and more thought through how that's going to affect other things in the program. So if there are added features you want in those subtasks, definitely put them in the idea lab and we can take a look at those. It's just, we wanted to get this out quickly because it was such a need. We didn't want to complicate it too much at this point, but yeah. And reporting is really nice too, just to kind of keep your business in order. So you can report on your own TCs. You could just, if you're a single person, this is great because you wouldn't have any of these people. You just have you here, and then you could report on what's happening.
I know I missed the first couple minutes. Did we already talk about, if anyone is on the $69 plan, how to upgrade to the new pricing plan yet?
I don't know. I don't think so, but let me go in here. And so if you're new, well, if you're anything, if you're old or new, you have access to the pricing plans in the billing tab. But if you're moving from version 1 to version 2, I don't believe that we've universally given you the option so that you can change it yourself. So when you come in here, oh, I'm on the enterprise version, so sorry. Anyone over 10 is on an enterprise version, which you're going to have to call me and talk to me personally. But under 10 people, you can do whatever you want. And you'll just have to email support and ask them to switch you to version 2. Once they switch you to version 2, then you'll have full capabilities to come into your billing and then change it at will. So you can always change your pricing plan. You can always cancel. You can always export your data. Like, we're trying to make this as easy as possible on you guys. If you decide we're not the right fit, we get it. Like, we want to make it easy for you to get as much data out of the program quickly as you can and switch your billing. If you email us and say, cancel my program, we're just going to put it back on you and say, no, you need to go to plan and billing and cancel your plan. It's not something we feel comfortable with, canceling someone's plan. We need to have the admin or anyone with permission on billing to cancel that plan themselves, so that we don't get into we accidentally canceled you, that sort of thing. We don't want to ever get in between that. So everything is self-service. If you don't have access to version 2, just email support, ask them to switch it over. They'll switch it over and you'll be able to immediately refresh and then immediately be able to get in that plan and billing and switch it yourself. Matthew, anything else on the plan and billing? Matthew's probably going to be the one handling that for you. So let me get him in here and see if he has any other thoughts on the billing stuff that we need to point out.
Yeah, no, it's a pretty easy process. Just if somebody's interested, there's just a couple things we need to like confirm really before we could actually make the changes. The easiest one is, confirming the account. Sometimes people sign up for multiple accounts and things like that. So the exact account that you want to upgrade and what plan that you want to be put onto, basically. It's a little bit of a manual process, but it's pretty quick. Once the changes are made, it is pretty much immediate. All the features should just pop into the account. But we just have to go through, make sure everything's set up. We want to make sure that, nobody's getting double billed or anything like that. So we go through and make sure everything is looking good before letting it go.
It's actually a good note. If anyone's coming from TC Workflow and you
yes.
are on your trial, please read the big red letters. Like we have a lot of people that accidentally subscribe to both programs. We're trying to keep it so that you're only getting billed for one of the two programs. So if you have both right now and you're on a trial and open to close, do not subscribe to open to close. There's a big red thing above it that says you need to call support. Do not subscribe to this, because what we need to do on our end is we need to make your TC Workflow account free and then turn on the billing for open to close. If TC Workflow is more expensive than open to close, we'll actually extend your trial and we'll keep you on TC Workflow billing. So whatever one is the higher one, that's the one that you'll be on as far as billing goes. But please read all the prompts that are going, because a lot of people are subscribing to both and then asking for a refund. It's very difficult on our end because we get charged a lot of fees by our billing program, as you guys probably do when you're charging agents. You know how expensive those fees can be. So if you do not read and subscribe to both, we will give you a refund, but we will not refund all the fees that we have. So
yes, we do not want to double charge you. That is not our goal.
Yeah,
but we've had people who don't even notice for 6 months down the line. They're like, wait a second, I got 2 active subscriptions, and that is what we want to try to avoid. So
all it does is create more work for us, honestly. So we want you to be on the plan you want to be on, so that it takes us less time and effort. So yeah, and you can always change your stuff up here if you need to. If I want to stay on the grow plan, how do I make sure I'm not accidentally using a feature in the pro plan? Kylie, I don't know. I'd have to look at what you're currently on right now. What we would probably have to do is
I can
maybe
take a
we'll
peek.
email us. We'll look at your plan. We'll see where you're at. If you're using any features on the pro plan, what we can do is roll it back to grow. If you're like, oh, absolutely not, I lost something that's really important to me, you're not going to lose anything in your program. It's just hidden. So let's just say that you're on the, let's say you're on the pro plan right now, or the premium add-on or whatever, and we roll back to grow and you see something that's missing or you can't live without, all we have to do is switch it back to pro and those things will reappear. So let me give you an example. Let's say you have 6 intake forms and we roll you back to grow. It's going to make the bottom 2, whatever those bottom 2 are in your list, it's going to make them invisible so you can't see them any longer. So as soon as we turn pro back on, it just makes them visible. So don't worry, you're not deleting anything. People always worry, like, if I switch, am I going to lose X, Y, and Z? You're not going to lose it. It's just not going to be visible to you until you upgrade again. Yeah, thanks so much for all your efforts and development and support. I appreciate you also very much. Thank you. Appreciate that. I know our support staff has been working really hard to become super efficient and get you guys the information in a timely fashion. The videos help a ton. So if you guys are sending us issues, the videos, like literally we can solve your problem 100 times quicker, because if you don't send us a video, we're guessing. And sometimes people use terminology that's confusing. It takes us so much longer. So a quick Loom video, it's free, under 5 minutes, like put it on your Chrome browser or Edge or wherever you want to be. It takes 2 seconds to shoot a quick video and it helps us, like literally you want your stuff. Whoop, I have another meeting. So that was to remind me that we are about out of time. So yeah, so just send those videos and we can get that stuff answered fairly quickly. A lot of stuff does have to go to development. Those issues, we don't have timeframes on those until we really dig into the back end and see how big of an issue they are. So just bear with us on that. But I really appreciate everyone being patient with us. We do have a smaller staff and we do what we can to make it as quick as possible. So, all right, I have to get to another meeting in 1 minute. Anyone have any last questions? I will give you 60 seconds to get them posted. Otherwise, I am going to end this call and we will see you same time, same place next week.